The purpose of this lesson is to just make you aware that when Arabs say a week before I arrived or a week after I arrived, they say it different than we do typically. And American students tend to just translate it straight, which it's not exactly wrong, it's just not the way they say it. So once you see the examples here, hopefully you'll be motivated to do it the Arabic way. In English, we typically say something like 3 years after I left. But in Arabic, they always say after I left by 3 years. In other words, are you going to use the preposition be and put the 3 years there instead of before as an independent, noun with no preposition. As I said, there's not really much to this construction, it's not how we would say it. So I wanted to give you several examples from the corpus that illustrate this way of doing it, this habit. So we start with Ba'd wusuli bi ayam. We would say a few days before my arrival. After my arrival. They say after my arrival by a few days. Ba'd al-adhan bi hawali thulth sa'a. So about a 20 minutes, a third of an hour after the call to prayer. They say after the call to prayer by that much. Ba'd julusiha bi daqa'iq, a few minutes after she sat down. Ba'd sakan bi qalil, a little bit after they got settled down into their housing. Ba'd wusulihi bi thalas sanawat, 3 years after he arrived. Ba'd al-urs bi sabat ashhur, 7 months after the wedding. Ba'd ta'arufihima bi usbu', so a week after they got to know each other. Ba'd al-dhuhr bi waqtin qalil, so just a little bit after noon. Now, notice this is a little different. The other ones are saying some event, but this is just saying in the afternoon. But this is literally after noon itself by a short time. And we would say a little bit after noon. Ba'd audatiha bi ayam, a few days after her return. And ba'd zawaj bi am wahid, 1 year after the marriage. This page has similar examples, but with qabl instead of ba'd, so before. So qabla mawtihi bi bid'at ashhur, a few months before his death. Qabl al-fajr bi qalil, this is like the noon one, before dawn by a little. We would say a little before dawn. Qabl al-maw'id bi qalil, a little before the appointed time. Qabl al-adyan bi milyon sana. So this is in some kind of argument about religion, and this person says that something happened 1 million years before religions even appeared on the earth. Qabl al-amaliya bi sa'a, 1 hour before the operation started. Qabl al-bad' bi qalil, a little before it began. Qabla insirafina bi daqa'iq, a few minutes before our leaving, before we left. And qabla safari bi sa'a, an hour before I left, before my trip. This construction appears in 2 other very common ways, one of them with dhalika and the other with a pronoun. So I've given you examples of that here. Ba'd dhalika bi sana, a year after that. Ba'd dhalika bi sanawat, years after that. Ba'd dhalika bi iddat sanawat, several years after that. Ba'd dhalika bi am wa nusf, a year and a half after that. Ba'd dhalika bi ayam, days after that. Ba'd dhalika bi qalil, a little after that. Ba'd dhalika bi fatra, a while after that. Qabla dhalika bi yom, a day before that. Qabla dhalika bi yomain, 2 days before that. Qabla dhalika bi 10 sanawat, 10 years before that. And qabla dhalika bi 50 aman, 50 years before that. The other common usage is with a pronoun after it, the thing I've been talking about. That pronoun can either be masculine or feminine. So we get ba'dahu bi ayam. I'm not going to translate these because you can understand them. Ba'dahu bi sanatain, ba'dahu bi qalil, ba'daha bi daqa'iq, ba'daha bi mi'atay mitr. Now this one's interesting because all the others are talking about time, but this is talking about distance. So after it by 200 meters after it. بعدها بيوم قبلها بسنة قبلها بنحو 10 أمتار. Again, this is the meter one. before it by approximately 10 meters. قبله ب20 عاما and قبله بيوم. So here I've just given you a few longer sentences from the corpus so you can see the context. The first one is long, but it's talking about how the White House had mentioned that it was supporting the Kurds, okay, which could possibly annoy the Iraqis, okay? And then in the middle of that sentence, the next sentence, it says, بعده بيومين قرر الرئيس أوباما في البيت الأبيض. So 2 days after that, but literally after that, after it by 2 days, Obama repeated in the White House, in the presence of the Turkish foreign minister or whoever, the American readiness to support the Kurds. The next sentence is about a soccer match, and it says that the falling of rain, تساقط الأمطار, والبرد, which is in this case snow, قبل بدء المباراة بساعتين. So we would say 2 hours before the start of the match, but they say before the start of the match by 2 hours. So then what the whole sentence means is the fall of this rain caused a number of empty spaces in the stands. The next one is just a time one. It says قبل الفجر بقليل ظهر عبد ربه وهدية في السطح. So just a little bit before dawn, عبد ربه and Hadiya appeared on the roof. And the last one again is about time. It says قبل الواحدة بخمس دقائق. In other words, before 1 o'clock by 5 minutes, at 5 to 1. Now you probably learned a different way of saying 5 to 1. You probably learned الساعة الواحدة إلا خمس دقائق, which is a good way of saying it, but this is another alternative way that is quite common. I'll let you figure out the meaning of the rest of these sentences, but I'll just point out the construction. So the first one is بعد وصولي بأيام, a few days after my arrival. The next one is, she didn't break her fast. إلا بعد الأذان بحوالي ثلث ساعة, after the call to prayer by about a third of an hour. The next one is بعدها بدقائق, just a few minutes after that. And the last one is talking about a soccer coach in Scotland who had some wins and did some good things for his team, but he ended up leaving the team بعد ذلك بفترة قصيرة. So he left the team after that by a little period of time. In other words, he left the team a little bit after that.